Welcome to Beyond the Box. Our guests are insiders that are now out and on our side, dropping nuclear intel and breaking it down just for you. And now it's time to introduce our hosts, Brenda Lankridge and Suzanne Haunt. Join us and subscribe for weekly shows. Beyond the Box begins now. Let's jump in.
Well, hello, and today is October 26, 2024. We're still in 2024. And welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Box. I do believe this is the 77th episode of Beyond the Box.
Good number.
Yeah, 77. What are we going to do if we ever reach 666th episode? Just jump ahead or fall backwards?
We'll take a vacation that day.
That's a good idea. We could do that.
Right.
How are you, Susie?
Doing good. Had a semi-okay day, slowed and didn't do too much, just moved some cattle panels around. And they worked on my electricity today for the building, so Joel helped him drill the hole and he gave him instructions. And
nobody.
So they think they're going to have it. Huh?
Nobody came away with any perms in their hair or anything?
Right.
Okay,
they think they'll have it finished tomorrow, so I'm happy.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, we're gonna get some rain here, it looks like. So
do you think?
I think we got a couple hours of rain coming.
Our grass is so good. Our grass stayed green up until about maybe a month ago, if that. And now it's all dry and crusty.
Oh, that's not fun.
Dry and crusty.
It's all burned up.
Burned up.
Poor grass.
No, not yet. I'm just waiting for somebody to go by and throw something lit in it, and poof, there goes the yard.
Well, one good thing, you don't have to spend all that money. People don't have to spend all that money getting it mowed, because there's nothing to mow.
Not like they spend that much money anyways, because the people wait to come after we have a jungle out there. And Tucker, he's allergic to grass. So that poor guy, he goes out there and it touches his tummy and he's in here just scratching. It's like, people, cut the yard. We pay for that. It's us that pay for it, not the owners. They add all kinds of stuff to our rent for, cutting the grass. And then they just disappoint.
And I was getting together those propane tanks for Nadine to take to North Carolina. I think I only have like 4 to send off, but I got the big ones and then some little ones. So I think anyway, and I'm probably going to send a ladder too, because I figured I got all these ladders and they probably could use a ladder to, I don't know,
Well,
I don't know what to send, but
anything helps, and they don't have a whole lot of, tools and stuff, so that'll be good. Hello, Jolie, Denise. Carroll's here. Hi. I like her. So we have Dennis Carroll with us tonight, and I'm not sure what we're going to talk about. It's always an interesting conversation with Dennis. It doesn't really matter what it is. So it works out good. Hello, Woo, Brett. So let's go ahead and say our prayer, and we will bring him on out here. I got Andy back there also sitting and waiting, and then we'll get this show started.
All right. Okay, so I was thinking about this today, about just saying a prayer of protection against all demonic forces that come against us, because we get comfortable for a little while, and then we forget that the enemy, is out there, looking for a way. And we always have these, like, I'm going to say what they call haters. Our whole life, I'm sure you've had them too. People who just hate on you for no reason, just because they're so full of hate, or they're full of jealousy, or they're full of these negative things. And so, it's like they send that negativity. So I pray that maybe that they can get a little bit of love. We ought to send a little bit of, like, positive back to them. I mean, what can you do? You just have to pray for the people who speak out against you or do things. Not that I've had that today or anything. I just thought that that's something that happens from the time we're born. A lot of targeted people are always hated on, just because we're, I don't know, maybe closer to God or special or something. So therefore the enemy, like, uses these people to come against us. So I just pray a hedge of protection around us and our guests and those watching, and anybody who wants that prayer, want to accept that prayer of protection. I pray that in Jesus' name.
I want to say something really quick. I have a stalker who has been emailing me from the email from the show. And every time I try to email this person back, it doesn't go through. I don't understand it. But let me answer you here in front of everybody. No, I'm not married. The ring that I wear was my mother's. And this and her ashes are the only thing that I have left of her. So it does not come off. That is the finger it fits on. So there. Now you know that I'm not answering you, because I've been getting nasty ones. Why are you not answering me? No. And I'm not looking.
Boy, and I don't answer when people ask me personal questions, I'm like, you know what? Don't ask me personal questions, because it's none of your business.
I don't usually, but I've got so many of these email, and I'm like, wow, what? No. And I you got to be somebody special for me to be interested in. Like, I mean, I'm not calling anybody stupid or anything, but I love intelligent minds. Like, it's just a thing with me. I don't know. I think it's because I'm so dense that I need an intelligent mind in my life.
You're not dense. No, I think you're very much a seeker of information and to know things, and that's why you like people that can challenge you to think more. Yes,
absolutely. Yeah. So let's bring out our little buddy Andy. Hi, Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Little buddy.
Our little buddy.
Putin, attack.
He's bigger than us, Brenda.
Yeah, Andy, we just love you.
I know.
Our bigger buddy.
I know the doctor asked me again when I talked to him yesterday. The nurse called. How tall are you? I said, which leg? And she just sat there for a minute. She goes, what does that mean? I said, well, on my leg, I'm 5 foot. On my other leg, I'm 3 something. Go ahead. Take a guess. Which one Brenda. You want? I finally got her to laugh. So,
right.
And now we have got Dr. Dennis Carroll. Hi, Dennis.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey, Dennis.
See you all again.
My favorite person in the whole world.
I was just listening to your prayer of protection. That's a good idea to always do prayers of protection, absolutely. And I remember what my grandmother used to tell me many years ago, and it kind of falls in with that. She said, if the devil's not bothering you, then you need to worry.
Yeah.
And,
true.
That's all. As a demonologist, I found that out to be very true. The agents of evil that get sent against us, if we're doing the right thing, if we're in the right place, we can always expect that to happen. And they're going to hate us. They're going to be jealous of us. They're going to try to trip us up. But hey, that's part of the territory, you know. That's what goes with the job.
Yeah, that's what I said when I got sent into YouTube jail. I must have did something right. Oops.
Yeah, there you go. I end up there myself sometimes. So evidently we must be doing something right. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I felt like a 5-year-old. Go to your corner for a whole week. I was like, really? That's the first strike I ever got, Dennis.
Time out. Time out.
Yeah. I was in timeout over
Yeah.
the first one. I thought maybe 24 hours, but oh no, a whole week. That hurt. And then I couldn't figure out how to do that.
YouTube actually took my monetary thing away because they said I did something. I don't know what I suppose they won't tell you what you did. They won't, explain it to you. But I can reapply, I think, in December. But they're always looking for ways to get you. That's the way it goes.
Well, they could have taken that away from me. I mean, I wouldn't have cared, but boy, they put me in the corner for a whole week. I couldn't stream. I couldn't schedule shows for anything. I had to wait until yesterday before I could schedule your show and my show I had yesterday for YouTube. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I had to wait. And I'm thinking,
always watching. Yeah, definitely. That's the way it goes. Well, I think, when you're kind of the light seekers or whatever name you want to tag us with,
right.
You're gonna expect they're gonna do this.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I expect it. I expected it when I had Michael Anthony on. I kind of figured that they didn't. I kind of figured they were going to zonk my show before it even started the minute they seen Michael Anthony's name. But I love him. I mean, I've known him for a while. I followed him. I met him on Grizzly's show. That's the first time where I seen him.
That's what I told you the other day. If I really said what I wanted to say, they'd probably put me in jail, I guess. That's not something. But anyway.
I'd have to come back out.
Yeah. But we have to be, unfortunately, in the atmosphere of our situation now, we have to be very careful how we say things or how we do things. But we can always work around that. That's the good thing about it. We can find ways to get around it.
I've got Susie that keeps me in check because, see, I would tell her, Susie, Dennis is in jail. We need to drive the car right through the brick wall and go drag him out. She'd be like, no, Brenda, let's just set his bail.
I'm glad I got back up there. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah, you got back up. I think half the people in the chat would be like, yeah, let's go get him. And we'd storm it. Come on, everybody. Look, Jason and Woo. You guys want to storm and let's go storm the police department so we can go get Dennis out. They'd be like, yeah, let's do it. Or dig a tunnel under the ground to come get you.
Yeah, that might be one of the to get that subterranean work. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought we'd talk tonight about maybe demonology a little bit. That seems to be a very popular subject right now, along with vampires and werewolves. And they all go together. All of that's connected. A lot of people don't understand that there's a definite connection with a lot of this stuff. And I've been looking at Dogman as well as perhaps having some type of demonical connection to it. And not in every case. You can't paint this with a broad brush, but there are some areas I have to question about some of this stuff because I'm seeing reports and hearing about Dogman appearing in people's houses when they're jail cells with them and stuff like that. That's not good. That sounds very demonic in many ways. And let me say this about that. There are certain people who can conjure things up. They can bring things from the darkness and bring it into our reality. And they do this for certain purposes and certain reasons. Some of these things, I think, are sent on missions against certain people or certain organizations, be they Christian organizations or whatever the situation. Some of these things are sent for reasons and purposes. This dark conjuring, I think, is going on. It may go deep into the cryptid world in many aspects. To me, this is an interesting subject when it comes to demonology, the opening of spiritual doorways and portals that bring these things from the darkness. God only knows what's out there, folks, okay, because they have left these doors open for things we that are fuel for our nightmares, maybe, to come through into our world and exist in our reality and do things. I have been on the trail for many years of what I call Cryptid X. This thing can't be seen unless it wants to be seen. And it's doing things beyond what Bigfoot or Dogman would do or some of these other cryptids. It is downright diabolical in the way that it does stuff. I have to question a lot of this. I have to wonder, what have they let loose in this world with us? And I think cattle mutilation may be connected to this. Human mutilation may be connected to it. Disappearances may be connected to a lot of this stuff. What's going on? What is hunting the human race?
Yeah. So I've heard a lot of people say that they think that Dogman, of all of the cryptids, that Dogman was an government experiment gone wrong.
I think there is a possibility. Let me say this, and I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this, but I talked about it on my show the other night. I do a show called Hunting the Shadows. Several years back, and it's been probably about 15 years ago, somewhere in that area, I was approached by the CIA, by an agent of the CIA. And it was the real deal. It wasn't somebody just doing that. It was the real thing. And he actually tried to recruit me to be with the CIA. And this is what he told me. He told me something very interesting in our conversation. He said that we like people who have a supernatural talent, people who can do things supernaturally, and that I think includes psychics. That includes people who can remote view. That includes people who can turn into werewolves if they want to, or vampires, or witches, warlocks. The list goes on and on and on. He wanted me because I was a demonologist. Why do they need a demonologist? That was the big question I came away with. Why, if they want a demonologist, what God only knows what else are they doing? You know?
Yeah.
And what else is going on with this? So I think the government is deeper than we realize into the darkness of this world than we really feel. And I believe they've opened doorways. And I believe they've done some things that they may be trying to undo, desperately trying to undo now. Why would they need to know about demonology? You know, and that's what he told me. He said, you know about demonology. We would like to have somebody in our company. That's the way he put it. Who knows about demonology and all that? He said, I've talked with others who are demonologists. And he said, we would like for you to join us, which I refused to do. I didn't want to join the company because the only way out of the company is usually through the morgue. Okay.
True.
Yeah. And so I said, no, thank you. I'm doing okay on my own. But I came away with that question. Why? Why were they so interested in that? Why are they up? What are they really up to in that respect? So I think, without a doubt, our government, the governments of the world, not just our government, are in bed with the demonic. No doubt about it.
Oh, yeah. I don't doubt that at all. I mean, well.
And if they are, and I do without a doubt and believe that they are deep into cryptid stuff, they are weaponizing these things, okay? And somebody asked me the other day on the show, I do so many shows, I can't remember which one, but anyway, they asked me the other day, what's the big difference between a werewolf and a dog man? Okay. Well, the big thing is the dog man is supposedly dog man 24/7. He's always dog man. He has the mind of an animal. He is just like a wolf walking on two legs. Basically, that's what he's supposed to be. A werewolf, on the other hand, is a supernatural being brought about by dark magic and demonic energy. It is a supernatural, hyper apex predator. It is incredibly supernaturally strong. It has the body of a beast, but yet here's the most dangerous part of it all. It has the mind of a man. But here's something very interesting. These people obtain this dark witchcraft power and demonic power to shapeshift into these different things. And they can become werewolves, they can become vampires, they can become tigers, they can become whatever animal they want to. Okay. Or whatever. If they want to look like an inanimate object, they can do that. This shape-shifting ability twists, bends, and disrupts true reality. Okay, that's the way it works. If these people could do that, every time they utilize this, they lose a little bit more of their humanity. I don't know if you're aware of this, but according to the legend of the werewolf, the more times you turn into a werewolf, the harder it gets every time to go back to being a human again.
I've heard
You
that.
lose humanity. And when your humanity is gone, my friends, so is your soul.
Yep.
That's the way that works. But I think the government's deep into this stuff. The government, without doubt, is deep into this.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, I believe there's a lot of dark, I call it shadow science going on. Because if they hooked up with the demonic, they're also getting demonic technology. Because the demonic, being fallen angels, some of them, being fallen angels have a celestial technology. Okay. And they can give us a little bit of this technology. Well, let me say this about the government. The technology that we have right here with us tonight is 100 years behind what your government has.
Yep.
Or more. But they've gotten a lot of that technology, not through true science, but through shadow science. Connection with alchemy and demonic powers that give them these things. Look at the origin of Lucifer, devil, Satan, whatever name you want to give him. He does really not. We don't really know his true name. But what was the first thing he gave mankind? Knowledge. Gave them knowledge.
Did you hear Susie?
It wasn't knowledge, Joe. He gave it to us the wrong way. It wasn't acquired in a godly way. It was acquired in the wrong way. But he gave us knowledge. They've been doing that ever since. They want to give us the stuff that we will use to destroy ourselves. That's what it's all about.
Yes. Did you hear what Susie said? Loki.
No, sorry.
Satan named Loki.
Dennis, you mind if I say a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
I am a direct descendant from Odin, the All-Father. My last name is All-Father. So I'm directly from Odin. The enemy is Loki. Loki is known in the Christian world as Lucifer. Loki is a frost giant who can shapeshift, and all his children are the reptilians, which or the dogman, which was Fenrir the wolf, who killed Odin. They tried to stop these creatures, and also Hel was Loki's daughter. Hel, who is she goes by many names, Santa Marta, just in different cultures and stuff like that. But these are shape-shifting human children from Loki, and Loki he also crosses with the humans, and then that's the Luciferian bloodline that they call. But it all goes back to the Norse story. But the whole story about Ragnarok, the prophecy of Ragnarok, and the end time battle, and Odin tried with Thor. They tried to kill the wolf, and they tried to kill Jormungandr, the world serpent, known as Leviathan, which they did, but it killed them, and so they died in this battle. But the battle hasn't, according to the prophecy, it's still to come. And so all these hybrids and demonic children from this blue frost giant Loki, um, all these offspring. It's an end time battle between the children of men and the children of Lucifer. So, and this is where we're headed to this battle. So, yes, they are very much shapeshifters, and they are very much demonic, and they have a lot of spiritual powers, and that, because they can shapeshift. They can be human, but then they can turn into their animal form. So they can stay an animal, like Finweir chose to stay a wolf. And so they can, but some can go back and become humanoid. So it's all in the bloodline, you know.
Well, it's like I was saying, the blood is the life. Definitely truly is. But let me say this: a lot of this has to do with the opening and closing of portals, doorways to other dimensions for things to come through and all that stuff. There is a definite relation with that. And that is what is the focus of hexes and spells, incantations, invocations, or whatever, are to open these doorways and allow entities to go through from different areas. To me, this is fascinating in that fact that these things are crossing realities in that respect. Okay. And when you shapeshift in whatever form you take shift, you are changing reality. Let me say this: I have seen demons face to face. Okay. I have seen their true form for what they really are. And they are definitely reptilian looking things. But they don't look like dragons. They look more like snakes in that respect. They have a smoother skin to them than you see depicted in some paintings, drawings, and stuff. They have more of a snake-like look to them. And I have actually seen people possessed by demons who take on this visage because of the demonic that's inside of them. Whatever's inside of you eventually shows up on the outside. And I think you see a lot of this happening in the world today. You see a lot of this. I think, in other words, the mask slips every once in a while, and you see what's really behind that person's face, or what's behind that person. Whatever is in you eventually will give yourself away. It usually comes out in some way or another. And I think that's going on a lot in this world. And I've made this statement before. There are a lot of things out there walking around that are not human, but they look human. And there are a lot of humans walking around out there who are no longer human.
Right.
Big. When you go into dark magic, dark witchcraft, and darkness of this type, you give your soul out. Here's the thing we got to remember: inside of all of us, we have darkness in us. We have a certain amount of darkness in all of us. You know that old saying, "There's a murderer in everybody." You have the capacity to murder. It just has to be in certain circumstances it comes out. And being in law enforcement, I have seen that. Okay, definitely. There is a darkness in all of us, but the demonic darkness, wants to hook up with that darkness in us and pull us deeper into its darkness. That's the way it operates. Okay, because we are humans. It knows what makes us tick. It knows also what scares us or what pushes our buttons. They know very much how we operate. These beings are incredibly smart. They are millions of years old. They have learned far more than you and I will ever know in a single lifetime. This is what makes them so incredibly dangerous to deal with. And we have to be careful how we deal with these things and where we stand spiritually in our own selves, and to have our protection ready, to have more of the positive and good and love and light in us than the darkness. We've got to keep that darkness in us down, under control, always constantly guarding against it. Because this darkness, and I've said this before, this infernal demonic darkness, whatever name you want to give it, is the most addictive thing in this universe. It will addict you more than cocaine, meth, anything. It will addict you and pull you deeper into it. And when you get there, it takes your humanity and you lose your soul to it. You're swallowed up by it. You become the darkness. You don't want to do that. That's the one thing you want to always guard against. You don't want to become the darkness.
That's right. Well, Susie and I, we've known a few that have done that.
Right.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Look at Charles Manson. Look at Ted Bundy. Look at some of this thing. And I have seen this a lot, coming out of law enforcement. I have seen serial killers. I have looked into the eyes of these people, and what looked back was not human. Okay, it had no emotion. I remember one guy. He cut his girlfriend up in little pieces, killed her, murdered her, cut her up in little pieces. Went home, had lunch, took a shower, and took a nap.
Wow.
I asked him, why did you do that for? Why did you do that? You know what his answer was? I don't know.
And he remembered doing it. He just doesn't know why he went home.
He remember doing it. He just didn't know why he done it. And it was, and he said it, and this is what he said. It made the same. It was almost as if somebody else were doing it.
Yeah,
that is demonic influence on us. Absolutely, that's the way it works. It's like, and I've said this before. It's like being in your car and you're not driving. You're in the back seat. Somebody else is driving, but it's your car. That's the way it goes. It's your body, but somebody else is driving. That's the way that works.
Wow. I know that Susie and I, we were doing a little bit of a crime show at one time, and we had the question, when you have these serial killers, are they born like that or do they develop this? Well, I think that some people can be born just straight up mean, and then as you go along in life, being that dark, that's what takes over, like what you just said. So it increases, and it makes them more aggressive, and until they have to live on that instinct.
I think some of these people, Brenda, have horrific lives. Some of them are abused as children. They go through some very bad stuff. I know Charles Manson was abused as a child. It changes them. It warps them. But I think it also opens them up more to the darkness, unfortunately. The darkness can hook up with them easier because they have been abused, Let me say this, and it depends. And I've talked to a lot of rape victims. I've talked to a lot of people who have been abused over the years. And here's one thing that I've always come away with, no matter what the situation, it scars you down to your soul. Okay? I mean, it really does a job on you. And you either have one of two choices when this happens. You can either stay the victim for the rest of your life, or you can let this change you for the better, not the worse.
The better,
you have
a survivor.
There's somewhere in your life, just like all these serial killers, they had a choice. They didn't have to go that way. Nobody held a gun to their head and said, you got to do this. They had a choice eventually. We all do. You have one choice. You can go one way or the other. Some of them choose the wrong path. As a matter of fact, that's the name of the dark witchcraft. It's called the left-hand path. You can go the left-hand path, the bad path, or you can go the right, the good path. You have a choice.
Yeah. I definitely know that for a fact. And when you go through the abuse, you're right, you can choose to stay the victim and go the wrong way, or you can
exactly
choose
darkness.
to be a survivor.
Oh yeah, darkness wants to do us that way. It wants us to remain the victim so they can have more power over us. And that's why I tell these people, you have a choice, no matter what's happened to you in your life. And bad things happen, we know that. I mean, bad things happen to people. But you have a choice to stay the victim or you can be the warrior.
Yes.
I'm going to say this about this, and this is sort of a prep talk for you, okay? Here's the way it goes. Evil wants to keep you as a victim because it fears you as a warrior.
Yep. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Susie?
Right. Well, that's where the mentality of the thought that says that that fear is a spirit and that God hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but that of a sound mind. So we walk in a sound mind and not in fear. So that way we're not the victim. We're actually overcomers. Yeah.
Yep.
That's true. You control with fear. Fear is a controlling thing. And I think a lot of entities in this world want to use that fear. Look at how fearful the atmosphere is around us today. Like we said earlier before the show, you're even afraid to talk about some things. You have a fear in the atmosphere around us. It's put there on purpose because it is a controlling factor, you know? Like I wouldn't it not surprise me if they're not manipulating the weather. They definitely will not stop at that. They will control the populace. They want to also control us to the point with hatred. That's another
Yes.
strong emotion. They want us to turn against each other, not cooperate, because if we cooperate, we're much stronger. And they don't like that. They don't like that idea. But if we're at heads and odds against each other, then they can put us in little pigeonholes where they want us and control us so much better that way. You know, and if you look back on history, that has happened many times. Look at Nazi Germany, how that went down. Okay, they used fear of the Jewish population to get people in the right mood so that they would want control by somebody like Hitler. They would want that safety that he offered from an enemy that he made. He created. He wasn't there, but he created that. It was brilliant when you think about it, how they went about that way. Okay?
Yeah.
That's just the way that they work. And you see that very thing happening in the world around us today. They want to use fear, intimidation. You don't even know now what pronouns to use with some people. You don't know how to say. I had somebody tell me this the other day. He said, I like to thank people when I'm in the store, but I don't say thank you, ma'am or sir anymore. I just say thank you. I'm scared to say anything else. Have we come to that? That's bad. Where we got the fear of the language police looking over our shoulder. It's 1984 all over again. Big Brother, and he's using fear and intimidation and hatred and division to their advantage. Sure, that's the way the demonic works. They love that. That's their game plan for humanity.
I can't even half the time. I don't even have words for some of the things that I say. That I see, people suing medical fields because they try to take their child who identifies as a cat to the vet, and the vet refuses to, help that person because they have human anatomy. And this, okay, so it's not really that child's fault. It's that parent's fault.
Brenda, some of this stuff, Brenda, 50 years ago in the medical books were called psychosis. Was mental ill. It was mental illness. Okay.
Yes.
Why are we calling it today? Why are we justifying it today as something else other than what it truly is?
And we say something, and we're wrong.
Reality. They are changing our reality. They're twisting it to the way they want us to believe. Don't you see? This is a way to mind control, to mold the mind the way you want it to go. It is not only subliminal, but subconscious on that level.
Yeah. It's crazy. Somebody said that is all a different timeline. Well, okay, so we have clashed with that timeline, and somebody needs to push it away from us because I don't like it. I don't like it. if my child was small and came to me and said, "Mom, I want to identify as a cat," I would put a collar with a bell on it around her neck and send her outside and tell her she was not allowed to come back in until she was human again. I mean, it's ridiculous. But these parents,
I would take them to a psychiatrist myself.
yeah, well,
pounds a dime to get some help, you know.
Their parent, but see, a lot of these kids get it from other kids who say it's okay, and their mom lets them do it. So of course they're going to test their own parents and say, "Oh, well, let me see if I can do this." Yeah, no, and it's just, but the parents are allowing it. Why are they allowing this? These are people.
Who knows? They may have a little bit of that Loki bloodline and that shape shifting, thing going on, and their brain is all messed up.
My kid's a cat. Yay! What? No, I don't agree with it. I have no You know what? I have no problem with people that are homosexual, because guess what? I'm not the one that they have to be judged by. Okay, it is not me that judges them. It is the Father that judges them. It's not up to me. So I know a lot of good people that are homosexual that, they're good people, but I'm not to make judgment on them. But however, when people start allowing their children to want to identify as a different species, not a different person, a different species, I have a big problem with that.
Brenda, it may be something hereditary in their bloodline, and it's just something that is kind of we don't comprehend what's really going on. We're not like that, so we can't understand why they're saying these things. But there might be something deeper in their DNA that we don't know, that we don't understand.
If I have grown up with these people and gone to school with these people, and they were regular children when we were growing up, and that they're going to allow their kids to act like that.
But then again, you've seen humans that were reptilian and you didn't know until they changed shape and shapeshift. They can look very much human. They can act very much human. And that's the whole deceptive part about these things. We don't know what's behind the mask.
Well, we all want freedom, but it can be abused too. Even freedom can be abused. You can go too far with it one way or the other. You can go too far with anything. Okay, that's just the way that goes. You can take anything good and overdo it. Okay, that's definitely, I think it was Socrates that said, moderation in all things, and that includes moderation. But when you come up with trying to change your reality that way, and you can do that in different ways. You can do it spiritually. You can do it physically. You can do it mentally and all that. There are certain ways to do that, absolutely. You're getting on very dangerous ground, no matter which way you look at it. And if somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, I want to identify something else from now on," they're wanting to change their reality. And that's probably not a good thing sometimes.
Because I don't think so either.
Yeah, we are given our own reality. And we don't need to screw around with that, okay? Because once you start changing realities, you change the fabric of everything.
Yeah.
Okay, you allow that to be happen. And that's not good, because then time and space itself may unravel. That's not a good thought to think about. There you go. Reality itself, based on all this stuff. We don't need to mess around with reality. Okay.
Well,
but yet,
when it comes down to it, Dennis, when it comes down to it, all in a nutshell, would you say that behavior, thought pattern, all of that, does it all come down to a demonic pattern? Is it all demonic? It's just all demonic.
They have a plan. Yes. They have a plan.
Yeah.
And without a doubt, this is an age-old plan. Here's what I say about that, and I talk about this in my book, The Road Unseen. This world was invaded eons ago by aliens But they weren't bug-eyed aliens from Alpha Centauri. They were fallen angels that fell to this planet. Whatever name you want to give them, whatever tag you want to give them, that's what they supposedly were. They were celestial beings who were stranded on this planet, you might say, or put here, or fell here, whatever way you want to put that. They are not the saviors of mankind. They are not the good guys. They are out to manipulate everything, every which way possible. They can do that, okay? And they want to control, eventually to destroy us. That's their main goal. They have a plan, and their plan fits into every single aspect of our society. This includes education, media, government, labor and industry, religion. The list goes on and on and on and on. They are into every aspect. That's what somebody said about AI the other day. It's probably already demonically infested. Okay. Yeah. And everything gets done that way because they are into all aspects of our existence, because they are out as our enemies to destroy us, without a doubt. That's what their whole plan is. And their plan has never stopped. It is ongoing.
Right.
It's still going on. And to me, that makes them the most dangerous things you can encounter for that very purpose alone. But yet, how we deal with it is the most important aspect of all of this. We don't have control over their plan. We don't have absolute control over them, although we have authority against them. Okay, we have authority against them. That was given to us long ago. We would be sitting ducks without that authority, okay? We'd be gone. All right. But without a doubt, their plan is still going on. But we, on our level, can still combat this. We can still fight against it if we'll wake up and become aware of what is going on in these situations, how we're being manipulated, how we're being played like a fiddle here, okay, by these guys and what they're doing and how they're going about it. But they're in every single aspect of our lives. The bad thing about AI is that it's programmed by people, okay? It's programmed by humans. That's the bad thing about it. And humans are, a lot of them, unfortunately, are under the influence. I call it DDUI, under direct demonic influence, okay? That's what it is. They are under the influence of these entities. Why, whatever name you want to call them, whatever title, that's what they're up to. They're out to manipulate us, to control us, and eventually destroy us. They're all about slavery. They're nothing about freedom. They're not about love and light and truth and good and hope. They are the enemies of all of that. They are the enemies of your soul. And we have to understand that. That is the enemy that we face. And the only way we can combat this enemy is from within ourselves. That's what we have to do in our world. We can have that light, that positive stuff in us, that energy, that love, that truth and goodness and hope and all the good things that need to be in us to form a hedge around us, to put on the armor of light that we need to wear to combat these things. The war has already been won against these forces. As a Christian, I believe that without a doubt. That war has already been won, but the battles continue. And the battles that we have to fight are for our soul.
And they're not going to give up very easily.
No, they're not going to give up easily. It's gonna go down to the wire. Okay, that's just the way it's going to go. Yes. But I read a book, and good news, we win in the end.
I'm reading several of them.
Yeah.
I found all different ones to read, and I just, between the Ethiopian Bible and the Geneva Bible, I have found so much of the same. Now, if I break out a New Testament Bible, it's all different. All different.
Well, here's one thing about that I like, okay? From the book of Genesis to the book of Revelation, There's something very interesting going on. There's an arc there. And this is the way it ends at the very beginning, and it begins at the end. Here's the way it goes. In the book of Revelation, at the very end, it says, well, I saw a new heaven and a new earth, and all things were made new again. So it goes back to the beginning of how it was supposed to be. It's a complete reset. I call it the God reset. It's a complete reset back to where it's supposed to be. So it ends good. There you go.
You never cease to amaze me.
But as a minister, I find hope in that, you know.
Yeah.
I find hope in that we have that hope that something we can look at, you know, and it's not all doom and gloom and fear and hatred and all that stuff. There are good actors out there. There's more of the good guys out there. We just don't hear about him.
Yeah.
But there are more of the good guys out there than there are the bad guys. Okay,
well,
trust me.
I've always said that. I think that there are more of good than there is bad. It's just the problem is the bad people happen to be a little higher up and have a little bit more to do with a lot of things, you know?
Squeaky wheel gets the oil. Squeaky wheel gets the oil. You hear about the bad more than you do about the good. That's just the way that goes. But I believe without a doubt, and I'm going to be doing a show very soon on the angels. I call it Angels 101. I'm going to go deep into what these beings truly are. They are celestial beings. They're a lot different than what you think. They're not the image that you've been given over the years of what they really are. They are not human. We have to remember that. Angels are not human. Humanity, we got a bad thing as humans. We put human on everything. We even do that with our dogs and cats. We make them more human, trying to make them more human. We do that with everything. These guys, these guys, you can't do that.
Right.
They're completely different. They're not human, yet they may look a lot like us in some ways. And when they want to, they can look like us. Be kind to all strangers, for there are some have entertained angels unawares. They can look like us, and I could sit here tonight till this time tomorrow night telling you stories of what they do. They are out there doing good. They are out there holding back that darkness. Okay. But
they're the good shapeshifters.
It's not their job to tell us what they're doing. Okay. That's not their job. They're not just spirit guides. Okay. I have a lot of people say, oh, my angel, my spirit guide. No, that's not what they're doing. They are our brothers. Okay. They are our brothers, and they are our servants in a way. They are there to help us, and they do guide us from time to time. Maybe they make some suggestions to us, all that. But you don't connect with them like a spirit guide. You don't talk to them that way. That's not what they're there for. That is the job, and I believe in the Holy Spirit of God is to do that guidance and all that. But anyway, they're a completely different animal altogether. Okay, and we need to understand that when we talk about the angelic guys. And you go back and read in some of the things of the Bible that try to describe them as a wheel inside of a wheel, spheres with eyes covered in eyes.
Yep.
Don't look human to me, okay?
Right.
There's something else going on. But that's what I said earlier. I believe without doubt they have a celestial technology. I think angels have ships. I think they have certain things. I believe they have their own technology. Because what was their first name? What were they called? They were called the Morning Stars. But they were also called the Watchers. They watched. That was their job. There are untold millions of them. Their job is to supervise the universe. That's their job. They watch everything. They learn. That's why they are incredibly intelligent. Smarter much more than you and I could ever hope to be. They know a lot of things that we do. They have knowledge that we would not dream of. Because they have the knowledge of the cosmos, not just the earth, but the whole world. And it is also said in the Bible that God is not only the God of us, but the heavenly host. There's more out there He didn't just create us. I know without a doubt. I think there are more worlds, more galaxies out there for a reason. And that goes on. That is what is called the heavenly host, not just the angels. There's a host of people out there. And this goes on. So this goes throughout the whole cosmos, the whole universe itself. This is the big picture. And it may go into different universes for all we know.
Yeah.
So God, the true God that we have heard about is a whole lot more intricate and bigger than we could ever imagine in that respect.
I've heard them say that even the ETs, so to speak, call to the creator. So I would think that that would be the God that they refer to, the God that created all of us, them, our worlds, their worlds. So are we, you know what, we're going to take our 5-minute break, and then we come back, we can get into that, because that would take like forever to explain probably, because I think that we all probably have the same creator, possibly.
No, yeah.
But listen, everybody, we're going to take our 5-minute break, and we're going to run and everybody go get our drinks. I don't know, Dennis, are you drying your drink also yet? So we will be right back in 5 minutes. back. One of these days, I've got to have that cut down, I think, a little bit. Gives me time to, go use the restroom and everything. Because I've only got one leg, so I don't like to rush. Because when I rush, I fall down, don't I, Andy?
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Definitely not.
That's not a fun trip for me at all.
Nope.
No.
But but yeah, so I hear them. A lot of people say that the ETs refer to the Almighty High, the Creator. So, what is your take on that? I'm not kind of on the fence with it all, but
Well, I think, somebody asked me that the other day. Do I think that we have been visited by extraterrestrials? That's a possibility. Absolutely. That has happened, but I think it's more rare than people think it is. I think a lot of what's going on, the demonic is very good at counterfeiting and imitating things. They like to fool us and deceive us into believing things that are not true. I think that they are doing this with the extraterrestrial thing to a certain degree as well. A lot of these things have sort of that sulfur smell to them that you hear about. I'm not going to rule out the possibility that we've never been visited by aliens. I don't. There may be that they've had a stop over here, or that they have contacted us in the past and we don't know about it. I mean, that's a possibility too. Yeah, sure. I think here's a quote I've often made. This is my favorite quote. I made it up myself. I believe in the impossible because I believe in the possibility of possibilities.
true, very true. What was that thing that you sent me the other night in Atlanta? What was that? What was that
That
about?
was a public black mass that they held. They were actually selling tickets to it, and they were going to raise demons and all this stuff. So it was an actual black mass, and it's one of the very first public ones I've heard about. That's not good. Definitely not, and that's why we were doing prayers to counteract a lot of this darkness. Uh, Here's the thing about it, and you see this happening a lot. There's a lot of the pop stars and musicians and stuff that are doing rituals on stage now. This ritualistic stuff is being done for a reason. It's not just show. Okay, rituals increase their power. It increases their cone of power, and the more people you have doing that, the more power you get out of it. And they are hooking up to the dark power to do this. And whether or not, if you're just even watching this stuff, you are participating, whether you know it or not. You are participating in it, and they are using you in that way. Okay, that's what this is all about. And I don't like to see people being used. That's not good. That's never good when you go around using people, especially for all the wrong reasons. That's definitely a no-no. And but this was the first time that we've actually, I think, seen an actual public black mass that they were selling tickets to and inviting young people to come to. This is not a good idea.
They're
This is not
getting
good.
really brazen with being open with all of that, aren't they? I mean,
Yes.
yeah, you're right. I don't think that I have ever heard of anything like that being public.
That's the first time I've heard of it. Now, let me say this, many years ago, I foolishly did this. I attended a black mass, so I know a real black mass. I was watching more or less than a participant. Okay. I wasn't there to participate, but I kind of snuck into it to see what it actually was and what was going on. I left before they did the sacrifices, but it was a true black mass, and it is just a corruption of a religious service. Basically, it is the Eucharist, but it is done in a backward fashion. It is done sort of say that the communal wine is actually urine or blood, real blood. The bread is the taking of human flesh. Uh, that goes on and on. I won't go deep into it because it is some very dark stuff. But it is bad stuff. It's bad juju, put it that way. You don't want to mess with this stuff because you are doing blood sacrifices. And there it goes back to the blood again. Blood is a very important thing about that. It's blood sacrifices. It's letting out blood. It's doing some bad stuff. It's sacrificing children and doing everything else you can think about. Cutting people's hearts out, eating their flesh. The list goes on and on. They do this to obtain higher arcs of power in the demonic darkness that they live in. And the reason they will to be able to do this for you tonight to become a true witch. And I'm not talking about just somebody that mixes things together and you call yourself a witch. I'm talking about a true real witch or warlock. You must murder your sibling.
Oh,
Actually, it's you're to kill the thing you love the most.
yeah.
Exactly. You must murder your sibling or your child to obtain this thing. You are selling your soul to the darkness. That's what's going on. You're becoming part of that darkness, and that's the way this works. And that's what these rituals are geared to. Why? Have you ever wondered why they're covens of witches? Because the more they are in a coven, the stronger their power is. That's just the way that works. And that's what the rituals are all about. And you see these rituals being performed on stage as dance numbers and stuff like that. I don't care how they present it, it's still ritualistic. And it's being done for a very dark reason. Absolutely.
Wow. Do you think that I'm just gonna say this? I don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble or not, but I may collect a couple of haters from this. Susie's like, "What?" Do you think that that's one of the reasons why a lot of these people are pushing the whole abortion thing?
That is another form of sacrifice. Yes,
yeah, because I mean, a lot of the younger ones are using that as birth control, kind of, because instead
of blood is alive,
right?
The blood is alive. Blood is what it all comes back to. The blood is alive. There are parties in Los Angeles where they partake of human flesh. They're cannibals. That's part of the ritual too. But it's the blood, and they especially love the blood of children because there is some factor in it. I think it's the adrenaline and stuff, the fear that they use. They love that, okay? And that's what they're going into and why they're doing these things. And we've got Halloween coming up, okay? I'm going to tell you something about Halloween. That is one of the most darkest nights of the year for this very reason alone. They are doing these rituals. They're doing these black masses. They're doing these sacrifices and all this stuff. There are two sides to Halloween. There's the side for the little kids dress up and beg for candy. Okay, I get that. That's the innocent side. But then there's a darker, more evil side to this night. One of the darkest and most evil nights of the year that these things are done on. There will be people who will not live to see the dawn of that day.
Right.
Because they will be sacrificed that night. Okay. And there are children being held and ready right now for that. There are children who were born and bred to be done this way, to be these sacrifices. This stuff is real. This is not made up.
Yep. This
is real stuff.
Everyday
and that's
stuff.
The most frightening aspect to everyone about them.
Yeah. I did hear it said that a lot of times the Satanists thank the Christian families for preparing their children for the Satanist holiday of Halloween, because they teach them when they're young that it's okay to get dressed up in costumes and it might be something innocent when they're kids, but then once they get older, it turns into something more.
Well,
So I didn't like
if you go
that.
back, if you go back, and you don't all, I'm big on folklore. Okay, if you go back and look at the folklore, there's some things you need to understand about Halloween. The dressing up, the mask, that was done so that the evil spirits would not recognize you.
Oh,
You wore a mask so that they wouldn't know who you were. When you gathered around the bonfire to drive them away, they wouldn't know to come after you the next day or whatever the situation was. You hid your identity with mask. That was the main, and the begging part of it was that it was sort of like I said to you earlier today, extortion in
yeah,
a way. You went around and said, "Hey, if you don't give us something, a sweet treat or something, we will tell the evil spirits where you're at." That's where the pumpkin comes in. By the way, it wasn't a pumpkin in Ireland; it was a turnip. If you've never seen, you think a pumpkin looks evil, you'll just see a little lighted turnip. It looks downright demonic. Okay. But that's where a lot of this stuff, the traditions, we go back and look at the origin, the beginning of things to understand them. And that's where a lot of this began. It was a dark, dark night of evil. Samhain, it was called. Samhain is the true name of Halloween. That's what we kind of angelized it into Halloween, but it's Samhain, the night of the dead, when the veil grew thinnest between the worlds, and these things were allowed to walk around among us, supposedly more so than any other night. There are other nights that's just as bad. Walpurgis night is just as bad. Beltane and all them. They're different nights that they celebrate these things on. Matter of fact, I think I have somewhere the Satanic Encyclopedia of all the different nights and dates where they commemorate things and have sacrifices and do all that stuff with. But anyway, this is one of the worst nights coming up that these things take place on. Like I said, there will be some people unalived that night, definitely, without a doubt. They will not see the sun come up.
yeah, that is a shame. And a lot of people just don't understand that, you know.
That's why, we tend to see the commercialism of it. You need to buy these candy bars to give to the kids, or you need to do this, you need to buy this costume and all that. There's a commercial aspect, just like Christmas has a commercial aspect to it, and Easter does. All these holidays are being used in commercialism to make money. Okay, that's just the way that goes. But we don't realize that there are darker aspects to these things. We don't need to celebrate, without a doubt. If I had kids, I would not let them go out trick or treating. It's not safe anymore, anyway. Okay, let's look at the big picture here. It's not safe to do that anymore. I would like to keep my kids at home and have a little party and watch horror movies or whatever you want to do to keep them entertained. Do that, but I would not go out trick or treating. It's not safe for that, but it's not necessary for that, really. It's changed completely from what it was when I was a kid. And I've been investigating and involved in all this stuff for well over half a century now. And
Dennis,
I've
excuse me.
seen,
Dennis,
what's
excuse me for 1 minute. Susie,
Oh, okay.
I need you to get off the computer. I need you to watch. I'm going to send you something on Messenger. I need you to get on information and find a number for a cab company in Roanoke, Virginia. I'm trying to get an address out of Tommy. He is in danger right now, and he needs some help. And he does not know exactly where he's at, but he sent me something. But if you can find a number for a cab company so that I can call him a cab so he can get in it and go home. So he is in a little bit of trouble. He just
You have an address? You want me to?
I don't have an address, but I'm going to send you the thing he sent me on Google, on the map.
All right, in the town. Okay, where I call.
He's in
Okay.
Roanoke. He's okay. Yeah, I've got the address. I'm going to send you the address. Okay, and
Okay.
so we can call a cab up to go and get him. because he can't function right now.
All
Something's
right,
the matter.
send me what you got.
All right, go ahead and get off here, and I'll send you what I have.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Dennis. Uh,
No,
Tommy
so
was supposed to be on the
maybe
show tonight,
maybe
and
need to call him an Uber or something too.
yeah, that's what we're gonna try to do because he can't. He's with
Yeah,
somebody
what I
right
was
now.
gonna say is, I see a trend developing in a lot of this stuff, going darker than it has ever been before in my lifetime or in my experience, and I think there's a reason for that. And I think that these things are becoming more desperate. That time is running out for them, and I think the darkness is coming to that. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, like Tommy, he lives in CIA capital. He runs into a lot of problems. Um,
Uh-huh.
so it's pretty sad. And he was supposed to be at home and on the computer tonight, but that didn't quite happen. So I'm gonna try to get him some help. Albert wrote, is it Albert or Albert's? Albert. Try to get him some help because I can't. Boy, I'll tell you, some people get themselves into some real good trouble. All right. So I gave her the address. Hopefully we can get a cab called to go get him. That was not. That was bad. All right.
Thanks. Absolutely. But yeah, I think that these things know that they're running out of time, and their plan is coming down the line to where it needs to be.
Yeah, and then they're scrambling too. They're scrambling really hard. They're not going to give up easy. They're not going to just let things go. And I think that things are going to get a little bit better before they get, or a little bit worse before they get better. And we all just have to be careful with what we do. Be careful who we trust. Well,
we need to be careful, Brenda, who we let into our lives. We need to really be careful. We need to watch the gates, kind of guard the gates, who and what we let into our lives, the things that we let into our lives. They can badly affect us. We don't need the negative. The more negative you've got in your life, the less positive, and that's not good. You want more positive. You want the positive to outweigh the negative in your life. That's the way you want it to go. I've had a lot of people tell me over the years, oh, God, I have such a horrible life. I do this, do that. I drink and I take drugs and all that. I said, well, what do you expect? You're living a negative life. You're not going to get positive stuff out of it. That's
right.
just the way it works. If you live a positive life, most of the time you're going to get a lot of positive out of that. You're going to get more positive than you get negative. Now it rains on the just and the unjust alike. Bad things happen to good people. Good things happen to bad people. That's the way it goes. But if you have an overwhelming amount of that positivity in your life, that light and love that you need to have, overwhelming the darkness and the negative, you're going to live a much, much, much better life. And that's what we need to look for. And that gives us a grounded situation in this world, okay? And lets us put on that armor that we need to wear. And it will keep us safer and more secure and make us better-minded people, more sound-minded people that we need to be. So we don't get taken in by the stupid things going on in this world and the things that they're trying to do to fool us and deceive us. We will have that discernment that we need. And that's what we truly need. We need that discernment. We need to ask our Creator to give us discernment because we need it. It is an essential tool for our survival.
Right. So I know we talked about all of this stuff and them not wanting to give up very easy. The best thing that we can do, would you agree, is to pray. Get that get that strength that we need in each other and keep on that armor of God, because, well, I mean, I always believe that if God's got us, we're good, you know. But we have to keep our faith and keep our strength and keep, our positive. And that fear thing, it goes away. We had, like I said, we had the girl on last night that talked about what's going on in North Carolina. And it's heartbreaking. It really is, a lot of that stuff. But I seen something in some of the people when I watched one of the other interviews she did. She had some of the people out there that it affected. One guy lost everything. And I seen something. I looked in this man's face. He had no fear. And he was out there trying to help everybody else, even though he lost everything.
I think it's very essential, Brenda, that we remember that the enemy of faith is fear. And faith is the enemy of fear. It goes the other way, too. Yeah. We need to understand that. Absolutely. And a lot of people need to get in touch with that faith, understand what it's there for, how it will strengthen you and give you that positive aspect. And faith, as the Bible says, without works is dead. You have to step out in faith sometimes. You have to believe, even when, it's like that saying, I've always wanted to fight a desperate battle against incredible odds. Okay. Well, that's what faith is. Fighting that battle. You're actually fighting. It takes faith to put on the armor and go to the war that you need to. It takes faith to do that. And that's exercising your faith, and that's always a good thing.
Did you there, Susie?
Fear is the enemy of faith, and you don't want that. You don't want to go that way.
Hang on. Did you call the cab, Susie?
Yeah, they said it's going to be 45 minutes, and I gave him the address. And that's my phone number that you gave me. His address is my phone number.
Oh, no. You're kidding.
No.
I did not know that. I mean, I know your number, but it's in the phone.
Weird. So they said 45 minutes. They're going to give me a call as soon as they hit. They're going to, as soon as she heads that way.
All right. Let me let him know.
Okay.
And he needs to stay put. She's tell him to hurry.
Well, I like trying. I had to call 2 cabs, so the other one.
We're gonna have to put Tommy on a milk carton.
Tommy.
That's the bad thing about cabs. They're never known for getting in a hurry.
Yeah. I think
unless you pay them extra money or something, right?
I know, right? I think that there's like not very many. Well, there isn't very many cab companies around anymore, anyways, because of Uber. But
right.
But they're that far away, and it's going to take them that long to get there. So
I couldn't tell him. She's like, "Well, where is he going?" I don't know. He'll tell you when you get there.
He just said home. He's going to his home.
Well, I don't know. I didn't know what to tell her. So I said, "I don't know. He'll have to tell you when he gets there."
Yeah, he's kind of stuck, and he's kind of worried. He can't speak right now. He's in a certain way. He is one, Dennis, that went through a lot of trauma growing up. He was tortured by
satanically tortured. Yeah,
by Michael Aquino and all of them. And unfortunately, he lives in Virginia, which is the CIA capital of the world. And he gets gang stalked. I was
worried about that today too, Brenda. I sent him a video because about being strong, and when you're getting gang stalked. I sent him. It's really weird. I was really had a strong feeling something was. He needed some encouragement today.
Yeah, I've been messaging him on and off today because I've been feeling really uneasy about him since last night.
Not better. Sounds like you might need to consider some lifestyle changes.
Yeah, well, we're trying to lifestyle change him out of there.
We'll just lift him up in prayer and just say, God,
Yeah.
put your hand around and for Tommy and help him, and And,
I mean, he does a lot of good because he started to do where he was helping people with mental health issues. But he was also a football player for Virginia Tech. So on top of everything else he did, he was called Touchdown Tommy for a reason, because I watched some of his plays, and whenever he had the ball, he bent and put his head down and he plowed everybody over with his head. Well, it caused a little bit of brain damage.
Oh,
And
that's not good.
Yeah, he's got what they call brain slosh. He calls it, like his brain is being overtaken by I want to call it scar tissue under his skull, so it pushes his brain down. So sometimes he gets around people out there that he thinks are his friends, and it causes a lot of problems. So I want him to take a vacation. I want him to go out to Susie's for a week. She could use the help on the ranch. I think he'll enjoy the horses and the cows and all that stuff.
That would be that would be a really good idea. Yeah.
At least go for a week, and just hang out with her. He trusts her. He trusts me. I think it would be good for him to
I do him a world of good, definitely.
Yeah, at least for a little while, just to get his head straight, But he's a good guy. He really is, and he does want to help a lot of other people too, especially people that have been through the stuff he's been through. But sometimes them little demon people that he knows kind of takes over, and he wants to believe in everybody. He's a good person, and he really wants to believe in everybody and try to believe in the good in everybody. Yeah. And we try to make him understand that you can't do that, because it can turn around and bite you in the behind, like now. So,
yeah.
But we love him. We love him to death.
We don't consider the ramifications of our actions, and if you get in that kind of situation, definitely can come back to haunt you in bad ways.
Yeah.
Especially if you you've got some brain issues and all that. Definitely, I can see what that would be. Let's definitely keep him in our prayers.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He just he's been through a lot of bad. I mean, when I sit and I think about it, Dennis, part of the other shows that we do are people that have been in MOTOC projects and government projects, things that they've been tortured as children and grown up still being tortured. So, we open our hearts and we open the platform for some of these people to help them. Because everybody, number one, people need to know that this stuff is still going on. Our government is still doing it. These projects are still going on. They're going on in the schools. Susie can tell you, when she was in school, they used to come and pick them up and tell them they were going to do something. She wouldn't remember anything when she came back. They're still doing this stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, the government's doing the same thing as the demonic. Demonic loves to go after the young people, the innocent, the animals. I've seen that happen so many times in houses. They attack people's dogs and cats, birds, and everything else. The demonic goes after these people, especially people who have mental illnesses and stuff like that. They exploit that. That's just how these guys work. And they will take your weakness, whatever it may be. They know your weakness. They will exploit that. They will hit you there, wherever it's at. Whether it's the physical part of you, the mental part of you, or the spiritual part of you, whatever that is, that's where they're going to attack you at.
Yeah.
If your health is not good, they'll go after you there. If you're not spiritually grounded where you need to be, they'll come after you there. And
Oh boy.
if you're not mentally capable that's where they're going to go to that. Wherever you're weakest at, look for that to happen. I call those the gates. You need to guard those gates well.
Yes.
And like I said earlier about letting certain people in your life, having certain lifestyles, maybe abusing drugs, alcohol, whatever the situation, pornography, gambling, whatever the situation, don't give your enemy ammunition to use against you. Don't feed the beast. I have counsel people all over the world.
Good advice, Dan. Good advice. Good advice. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And people have run into these problems all over the world. And that's the thing I tell them. You got to understand. And it sounds kind of silly. When they say, well, you're telling me to ignore this? No, you don't give them acknowledgement because that gives them power in your life. But you don't need them in your life. Don't bring them in when you don't need it there. Keep the doors locked. Don't let them in. They have to be invited, just like the vampires, and I've done some vampire hunting in my time. I know how vampires do. You got to invite them in. They don't have the authority to come in unless you invite them in. But you can do that in many different ways, and you have to be very careful how you approach that. They're just waiting for that invitation. Absolutely. You kick. My grandmother used to say, you give the devil an inch, he'll take the whole yardstick.
Yep. He sure will.
Yep.
They definitely try. But I think that, you say that the government is like the Satanism, they go after the young children. I think they're one and the same, honestly.
The way you want it to go.
I do. I think they are one in the same.
I did a show the other night called Midnight Lycanthropy. Anyway, we got to talking about Nazism and the occult. They were deep into the occult. Okay, Hitler had like 1,300 known books on the occult. He was deep into it, and so were his people. Why were they that? Because they were hooking up with that power that they thought they could get. That's what it is. That is the draw to this. And that's why a lot of these celebrities you see, a lot of well-known people, sports figures and all that, are signing these dark contracts for what they want. Okay? They're selling their soul, however you want to put it. I don't think you can actually sell a soul. I think you give it away. You can give it over to the darkness, more or less, than sell it. But you can make deals for it. Absolutely. You can make deals with dark contracts, I call it. Shadow contracts, whatever name you want to give it. They will give you power. They will give you money. They will give you fame, glory, and all that stuff. But here's an interesting thing, and I'm writing a book about that. I call it.
But there's always that payday. There's always that payday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There'll always be a payday. But they're playing the God game. They've got all these. Think about this. If you had all the money in the world, all the fame and glory, power that you want, but you got to die one day and leave it. They are playing a game for immortality. They want to be gods on this world. Okay? The God running this world is not our creator. The God running this world is Lucifer. Okay?
Yep.
That's what he really is.
Yeah.
He's one in charge. But look, it's not the world. It's not the world itself. This planet's going to always be here. We're talking about the world system. That's the one thing that's running around. And that is the enemy of all of us right now. Although we are slaves to the world system, it is our enemy. It is taking our freedom from it. Think about tomorrow. What if you didn't have to worry about your power bill tomorrow? Or you didn't have to worry about getting food in your house? You are a slave to the world system. That's where they want you, okay? That's exactly where they want you. What if they told you tomorrow, Brenda or Susie, okay, if you don't do what we tell you to do, you won't have access to your bank account anymore? They got you, right?
I'll tell them.
That day is coming.
Yes.
That day
Well,
is
Brenda,
coming.
Brenda doesn't, she doesn't have very much money in there anyway,
Yeah,
so they
I
wouldn't be
know.
getting much.
They wouldn't be getting
The
much.
IRS can do it right now. Did you know the IRS put a hold? The IRS can put a hold on your bank account, and you won't be
Yep.
able to access it anymore. They
Yep.
can do that.
Yep.
If you're an enemy of the state, don't think that they don't have ways to take you out.
Now we've put back,
Mhm.
invested in gold, silver, you know. So and that's not kept anywhere that it's not trusted. Um, kind of prepare for that. We've kind of known that this is coming. It's
Or
going to
could
happen.
come. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, they're going to shut things down,
They
and
do it
I'm
to some
telling you,
people. Mm-hmm.
yes,
Oh
they
yeah.
already do it to some people. So,
The people in
um,
the, the people in China are living that way right now. They're
oh
living
yeah,
under a merit system. Okay, if you
yeah,
don't
they've
do
got
something,
don't they have the chips already?
oh yeah,
They're
I think they're
Yeah,
implementing them. They're coming into focus on that. But they are saying over there that they have a merit system. If you don't do so much for the party, if you don't attend certain meetings, then you won't have certain amount of access to your bank account,
right.
or they may turn your power off, or whatever the situation is. They've got you right where they want you, and that's absolute control over every aspect of your existence. That's what these guys. That's what the game plan is, and they are the gods of this world, sure. And they are going to exercise their power. It's coming. Our days are numbered for our
Yeah.
freedom if we're not careful. And I've told this to people before. Your freedom, your rights were given to you by your creator.
Hmm.
They wasn't given to you by Congress. The Senate didn't do it. The
That's right.
president didn't give them to you.
That's
Your
right.
mama didn't give them to you. Your creator gave them to you. Your God given rights. Stand up for them. Don't let somebody take them away from you.
Yep.
Don't give them up. Because once you give up your freedom, that's it. You're gone.
Yeah. Absolutely. It. You know what? I had somebody tell me today that they're just so frustrated with things in the way that's happening. And yes, it is frustrating. It's frustrating. You can't trust the news. You can't trust the government. People that you were supposed to put in charge of taking care of the country, making sure everything ran smooth and making sure we were all safe. When it comes down to it, I have learned that you cannot rely on anybody but yourself and God. That's it. Because
That's it. You got to
can't
remember this. I used to ask this question in my lectures. Okay. It was real fun. I used to ask this. I said, somebody right now breaks into your house right behind you right now and starts breaking in your window. What are you going to do? Are you gonna call? They're gonna say, "Oh, I'm gonna call the police." Well, good luck, because you are your own first line of defense. No matter how much the cops want to get there, they're never gonna make it in time for you. Don't depend on that. Okay,
Dennis, let
you
me
are
let me
your own first line of defense, and that includes every aspect of your life, not just somebody breaking in your house. Okay.
Dennis, let me tell you a little.
And a lot of people today don't want that responsibility. They want to depend on the government to do this, do that for them. They want to depend on somebody else to do something for them. Oh, will you please go to Walmart for me? They don't want to take responsibility. We need to man up and woman up to our responsibilities.
Well, let me
Okay.
tell you a little something that happened to me. Um, I was working. I drove home from Waco. I get to my house. I'm backing up into my driveway. Now, I used to have a little dog. Was my pride and joy. He was just so awesome and very well protected. Well, as I park my car, now I am still in uniform. As I park my car and I open my door, my little dog runs up and I'm talking to one of the other officers on the phone. And I said, Randy. Truman is outside in the front yard at my car. And he said, what? And I looked back and I said, Randy, somebody kicked in my front door. He said, hang up the phone. I'm calling Burke. We're going to meet you at your house. Call the cops. Yeah, okay. So I hang up. I go inside with my gun drawn, still in uniform. And I'm on the phone with 911. And I'm telling her what happened. She says, ma'am, are you still outside? I said, no. She goes, no. What if they're still inside? I said, then you better send the meat wagon because I'm clearing my house. Will you put your weapon away when the cops get there? I said, oh, yeah. When I'm done clearing my house. And I went room to room, shower curtain, under beds, because if there was somebody in my house that kicked open my door, they were in an awful lot of trouble.
You know, when that happens, you feel violated, you know?
Yeah. Yes. And you know, and she's telling me, but what if they're still inside? That's their bad. I'm sorry. They shouldn't have. Those people and anybody that lived, and I lived on a dead end. Anybody that lived there knew what I did for a living. Had to know that if they were going to break into my house, they'd be lucky if they didn't get shot. So it's one of those things where, and it's the same way now. My bedroom is in the living room because the room belongs to my caregiver. I'm right here. You start kicking in my front door, and you better be telling me that you're a Molly maid to clean my house, or you've come to bring me Christmas dinner. Because if not, I can't guarantee you're still going to be standing by the time you get that front door open.
One thing, though, Brenda, I always advise people, when the cops show up, do not go to the door with a gun, okay? Put the gun away. That's not a good idea.
That happened when I here. Because, see, we don't...
I actually ran into that situation one time. This woman actually had a gun out, and I was knocking on her door, and she come to the door, and she had the gun down, you know, and she was an elderly lady. So I figured she wasn't too much of a threat, but you just, you know, she wasn't thinking, I don't guess. But I said, you know, as soon as I got the door open, I put my hand on her gun and I said, took her gun. I said, she said, oh, I forgot about that gun. I said, that's okay. I told her, I said, ma'am, don't ever do that again. Okay. Do not open the door to a cop with a gun in your hand. Do never do that.
Well, you know, one night, we don't ever get people that knock on my door at night. Everybody that comes to my house that I know knows that they either message me or call me when they're coming. Nobody ever just shows up at my door and knocks on it. Right. So one night I'm sitting here and it's like 9:30 at night and somebody bum knocks on the door. My caregiver gets up, grabs his 40 cal. Now he's got it behind his leg and he cracks the door open and it's cops. So I'm like, okay, I got to get him out of here because he's got his gun. So I go to the door and I open it and he walks away and goes back into his room. And they're like, somebody called in a domestic disturbance at 5:30. So, and I'm looking at them and I'm looking at the time and I said, 5:30. I said, do you know what time it is now? I said, I can guarantee you that it's either they're in bed now messing around or somebody's already dead. Okay. You're a little late, aren't you? And they said, well, we don't know where it came from. I said, well, it didn't come from here. So, and then one of the cops says, you know, I've been on this force for 3 years. I didn't even know this street existed. I said, well, that's because that's how quiet and private we are here. Thank you very much. But, you know, I don't. And see, everybody has, different states have different laws. Now, I'm in Texas. Texas has stand your ground. Now, they also have that little minor thing that says that if somebody breaks into your house, you're supposed to be at the farthest room of your house before you were to shoot somebody that came in. Well, that does not apply to me in a wheelchair. Why?
Well, you know,
I can't get to the farthest.
In your situation, with you know, having one leg, you could always tell the judge, "Hey, you expect me to get away with this?"
Yeah.
You know, one leg.
Get on the ground and roll.
Yeah.
Tuck and roll, woman.
You have to justify what you're doing. In other words,
Yes.
most laws state that you got to be. If you can get away, you can get away. But confined in a room, that changes it all. But I've actually heard other lawmen say that if you shoot somebody on the porch, at least drag them inside
Drag
before
them
you
inside.
call.
Yep, that's what they
Yeah.
told me. If I shoot them
It's
and they
better
come
though.
out the door, go get them
Yeah.
and drag them back in here before you call us.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
so
anyway,
I try to go, even though I don't work anymore on the force. I
yeah.
try to go.
I'll tell you what's funny, Brandon. I'll tell you what's funny. You see this in the horror movie. The killer is coming through the house, and they're on the phone and they're calling 911. Don't worry about that. You better be looking for a weapon, okay? Don't worry about calling 911, because even if they were Superman, they can never make it to you in time, okay?
Right.
But we are programmed by
And they'll hear
Hollywood to
you.
see this kind of stuff. But
Yes.
Hollywood is programming us with this stuff. I'm actually taught to kids who are disappointed that they can't jump up 10 feet in the air and kick something. They think you ought to be able to do that.
Are you serious?
I mean, Hollywood has really messed us up, in that
Yeah.
certain way. And Hollywood has done that to every aspect of our lives. That includes the paranormal and everything else. We're expecting a whole different thing. That's just like, I was telling this somebody the other day. Whether you believe it or not, every place you go to is not haunted. Okay,
True.
it just don't work that way. But Hollywood wants you to believe that everywhere you go, it's got a ghost or something in it.
I have a couple of people. Actually, I'm talking to these people that they have a podcast, and the show is called It Came from the Podcast, and they do investigations. And they know a lot of these people that do the investigations on TV. Of course, I'm not talking about Zach because he's a hoser, but they know a lot of these people. And so I'm talking to them. I'm getting them on the show. So that ought to be an interesting show. I think it'll be kind of fun. But I've had certain people on, like we have out here. What do they call that? Is it the Hill House, Susie, that's out there in, is it called the Hill House? It's supposed to be one of the most haunted houses.
Yeah, the haunting of Hill House, I think.
It's that one that's out. What's that city, Susie, that those people that you have their stuff that they're supposed to come, where are they at?
Oh my gosh. Rockwell.
Mineral Wells.
Or Mineral Well. Yeah. Mineral Wells.
This
Rockwell, Mineral Well. Yeah.
Yeah. This place is in Mineral Wells, Texas.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be one of the most haunted places. And I thought to myself, I would like to go there. Because I would know before most of these places I can't even get into because they're all stairs all the way up there. But I would know before I even got in it. I would know from the outside. And if it's that bad, I'll be able to tell you that, that's a nasty place and Brenda doesn't belong here. Let's move along. So when I hear that, this place is really haunted, Waverly, different places like that, I really just would like to go. Because I want to know exactly how haunted it actually is, People come in my house all the time, and they leave, they come and go. Hannah comes and goes out of here, and my caregiver hates her because Dennis, I have to let him know when she is in the house, because if I do not, and he walks out of his room and doesn't have anything on his feet, she loves to rub his feet, and it freaks him out. He does not like it. So he has to put stuff on her feet so she doesn't touch his feet. And the first time she ever did it to him, he was jumping around. I'm looking at him like he's crazy. But I mean, I knew she was there, but I didn't think she was over there playing with his feet. But he doesn't like it. It scares him. It creeps him out. So, but I want to know, exactly how haunted some of these places are. Because people can see this stuff on TV and they can say anything they want to say. We don't know any better. We're watching them from a screen. This was filmed a month ago. They could be doing anything. I guess I'm one of those people that if you're going to tell me something is really haunted, well, I want to know for sure. I'm not that I don't trust certain people. I mean, I used to go to cemeteries all the time. I know there's some people that hang around there. And if I see a dark corner, one day I did see in a dark corner and there was a raven back there. And it was sitting in the tree just walking. And I was looking at all the old, it was a 1800 cemetery. People were buried there from the early 1800s. And I was just walking around looking, and I happened to glance over and just see this dark corner when the rest of the cemetery is nice and sunny. And I just got the weirdest feeling, kind of sick to my stomach. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going over there. But that's one little tombstone I don't think I need to look at. And I left. It was a very old cemetery, and it's in Waco. I came across it by accident, and it's a small one. And I think part of it was a family cemetery. Very, very old, not taken care of. The rod gates in the front, one of them was broken. It was very interesting. So I had to stop and get out and go look just because I'm that curious. But I don't know. I mean, I know that you have faced a lot of different stuff. And I guess, and I've had some bad things happen to me. I've been scratched. I've been bit in a cemetery. I have been bit. And that did not feel good. And it was not fun. But sometimes when I watch some of these things on TV, I don't know what to think sometimes. I guess that's what you can say. Because a lot of people will deceive you just to be on a movie, just to be there, So I don't know what to think. I know you've seen scary stuff.
Very much like what I said earlier about commercialism of things. A lot of these things, they get mixed up with the money. Matter of fact, I was offered a TV show one time, which would have been an interesting premise. It had to do with demonology and criminology. But they want, they wouldn't do it. They wanted me to be rather somebody else than I am, and that's why I fell through. But it's commercialism. They're out to make money. That's the main thing. My grandfather used to say years ago, he's very, very, very suspicious of anything having to do with money.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of this is, commercialism, yeah. And if you ever notice how so conveniently something would happen right at the commercial.
Yeah.
So that you have to come back to see what happens, How very convenient, you know what I'm saying? But what you don't see, and you know what I'm about to say, what you don't see on these shows is that 7 or 8 hours you had to sit alone in a room before something happened, or didn't happen. Sometimes that's the way it goes. You don't see that part of it. You just only see the highlights. Well, it's all about the money. It's the commercialism. And Zach Bagans, a lot of them, they're filthy rich off of this stuff.
Oh,
because it works for them, see? And that's what it's all about. So you really can't take them, those kind of people, as true representatives of the real paranormal investigators out there, okay? There's a world of difference going on there in that respect. That's what I said to somebody the other night on the show. If I were in this for the money, boy, am I in the wrong place.
Yeah.
For me.
Right.
And I've had people come up after I've helped maybe clear a house or something. I've had people come up and say, Now, Dr. Carroll, how much do you charge for this?
Nothing.
I always said, well, how could I charge for something like that? How can I say, oh, you had 2 or 3 demons here, and I must say it'd be $10 a demon?
Yeah, $75 for this one.
Why am I going to do that? That's not the way that goes. And I would say, I've taken donations. I say, if you want to cover my gas, that's fine, you know.
I would tell you, Dennis,
but I'm not here to make money. I'm not here. I'm not.
I would say, Dennis, why don't you sit down, Dennis? Let me make you a nice hot meal. How's that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Whatever, you know. Give me a chicken or something. I don't know. Whatever.
Good chicken.
That's what you want to do.
Pepsi.
Yeah, that's what they used to do. The old doctors, you know, give him a chicken for coming, you know. So
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
Yeah.
My little brother one day told me that he wished he lived in a world where you did everything by trade and everybody traded like you know, eggplant or something. Yeah. But
that'd be like
anyway.
if it's a real sick call, he got a pig instead of a chicken, you know, or something.
Right.
But can you imagine a doctor that actually comes to your house? That's the amazing part of it. But anyway,
Yeah. I don't know. Mine would, I think, if I asked him to.
That was way before my time. Put it that way. Way. But anyway.
Well, we are running out of time. So, Dennis, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you? Of course, most of us know.
Okay. Well, I have 3 shows. I have 3 podcasts that I do on Monday nights at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Wow.
I have The Road Less Traveled with Gerald Fountain. We do some offbeat stuff. And then on Wednesday nights, I have my premiere podcast, which is Hunting the Shadows at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All of my shows are 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on Friday nights, I have Paranormal Point of View at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to contact me, you can contact me at denniswcarroll.com or denniswcarroll@gmail.com. My books are available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And I have a Patreon. If you wish to join and become an official shadow hunter, you can join my Patreon and contact me for that. I can give you the thing for that.
Okay. Well, everybody, this concludes our show and our
Thank you,
weekend,
Dennis.
actually. Yes, and thank you so much, Dennis, for coming on.
My pleasure.
I was just waiting for you to get your internet back.
It's been a long haul, definitely. Believe me, you weren't the only one. I had a lot of people.
I know it.
Wow.
And I thank everybody out there for being with us, and just watch for the notifications for the next shows. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we are going to see you next week. And like always, everybody, please be kind to one another. Have a good night.
Goodbye for now, from Beyond the Box.
Please join us again for Beyond the Box, Friday and Saturday evenings, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Join us for more intel bombs from our extraordinary guests.
Good night, Putin. Good night, Tucker.